Welcome to Omni View, episode 42 for May 5th, 2026. Multiple perspectives, one briefing. Here's the news, the perspectives, and the questions worth asking. Iran warns the US that it has not even begun as violence escalates in the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian parliament speaker stated that a new equation in the Strait of Hormuz is in the process of being solidified. He described the current status quo as intolerable for the US and accused the United States and its allies of jeopardizing shipping and energy transit through violations of the ceasefire and the imposition of a blockade. The comments follow reports of a flare-up of violence testing the existing ceasefire. The Guardian frames the Iranian statements as a direct challenge to US actions. This approach emphasizes Iran's position that the security of the waterway has already been compromised by external forces. Other outlets tend to connect the rhetoric to broader risks for international shipping. They show how the statements could influence market reactions and diplomatic efforts. Both sides agree that recent incidents have occurred in the area and that a ceasefire was previously in place. They differ on the assignment of responsibility for the current tensions and the appropriate path forward. What specific actions does the Iranian speaker imply will follow if the status quo continues? Shifting now to trade relations between Europe and the United States, French Trade Minister Nicolas Fourrissier stated that the European Union possesses tools it can deploy if Donald Trump makes excessive threats to strategic industries such as steel. The comments come as European officials prepare responses to potential U.S. trade actions. The minister's remarks highlight the EU's capacity to protect its economic interests. Bloomberg presents the minister's statement as a signal of EU readiness to counter US pressure. This coverage underscores the minister's role in trade policy and the bloc's interest in maintaining leverage in negotiations. Other reporting may emphasize the broader context of transatlantic trade relations. It notes how such tools could affect industries on both sides. The factual basis is the minister's public assertion of available measures. Interpretations vary on whether this represents routine posturing or a more assertive stance in response to specific threats. Which specific EU tools might be activated in response to US actions? Meanwhile, British politics shows signs of strain for the governing party. A new mega poll indicates that Labour is under siege from multiple directions ahead of London elections. The party's support has collapsed significantly since the general election. The findings point to potential difficulties for Keir Starmer and suggest the Greens could see strong results. The poll results are expected to create concern in Downing Street. The Daily Mail frames the poll as evidence of widespread challenges for Labour. This presentation connects the data to broader political pressures on the government. Other outlets may focus on the potential gains for smaller parties like the Greens. They view the results as a sign of shifting voter priorities. The poll data itself is the shared factual ground. Outlets differ in emphasis on whether this signals temporary setbacks or deeper structural issues for the party. What factors appear to be driving the reported decline in Labour support? Turning to an industrial accident in Asia, an explosion occurred at a fireworks plant in a central Chinese province. Authorities reported that search and rescue operations have largely been completed. State media confirmed the death toll of at least 26. Verification of the full casualty count and identification of victims remain ongoing. NPR reports the incident through official channels. This approach highlights the challenges in obtaining precise information in the immediate aftermath. Other coverage may connect the event to broader questions about industrial safety standards in the region. The confirmed elements include the occurrence of the explosion and the initial casualty figures. Uncertainty remains around the exact total and causes. What safety measures were in place at the facility prior to the incident? Next, a comparable incident unfolded in South America. An explosion took place at a coal mine in Colombia. The incident resulted in the deaths of 9 workers. The National Mining Agency had issued warnings weeks earlier about a dangerous buildup of gases at the site. Rescue and investigation efforts are underway. Al Jazeera presents the incident alongside the prior warnings from the mining agency. This coverage draws attention to regulatory oversight in the mining sector. Other reporting may examine the conditions that allowed the gas buildup to occur despite the alerts. The shared facts include the explosion, the fatalities, and the earlier warnings. Perspectives differ on the adequacy of preventive actions taken after the alerts. What specific gas buildup risks had been identified before the explosion? In diplomatic news from the Pacific region, Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te has arrived home from a trip to the African kingdom of Eswatini. 3 China-friendly Indian Ocean countries denied him permission to fly through their airspace during the journey. The visit occurred despite objections from China. Deutsche Welle frames the trip as a demonstration of Taiwan's diplomatic outreach to limited allies. This presentation highlights the logistical challenges faced by the president. Other coverage may focus on the broader context of cross-strait relations. It considers how such visits are viewed internationally. The facts of the visit and the airspace denials are consistent. Interpretations center on the diplomatic signaling involved. What does the denial of airspace access reveal about regional alignments? In the technology sector, supply chain strategies are shifting. Apple is exploring the use of Intel and Samsung to produce main processors for its devices in the US. This would provide a secondary manufacturing option beyond its longtime partner, TSMC. The move aims to diversify supply chains. Bloomberg reports the exploration as a strategic step by Apple to reduce reliance on a single supplier. This framing connects the decision to broader efforts in reshoring technology production. Other coverage may examine the challenges of scaling U.S. manufacturing for advanced chips. It also considers the role of government incentives. The interest in alternative producers is the factual element. Perspectives differ on the feasibility and timeline for such shifts. What advantages might domestic chip production offer Apple? Tomorrow, watch for any direct responses from U.S. officials to the latest warnings from Iran about the Strait of Hormuz. That wraps up today's Omni View. Remember, the best informed people read more than one perspective. If this show helps you do that, share it with someone who values fair coverage. See you tomorrow. This podcast is curated by Patrick, but generated using AI voice synthesis of my voice. The primary reason to do this is I unfortunately don't have the time to be consistent with generating all the content and wanted to focus on creating consistent and regular episodes for all the themes that I enjoy, and I hope others do as well.